We're on.
Good afternoon, Jamie.
How are we doing, Jack? You good?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Can you hear the background noise?
Are you in the Wigwam, the canteen, are you?
I am. There's conversations going on. There's a lot of noise actually, but hopefully you can't hear them.
Not too bad. I heard they got smashed by Saints at the weekend, so they're probably being absolutely grafted on the last few days.
Commiserations. Do you know what, actually? I feel like I've not actually seen them that much this week, so maybe they're at home crying a few little tears. I don't know.
Or they're in the arse end of nowhere getting run about.
Let's get stuck into this, next week's training. The week starting the 22nd of August, which I know, summer holidays are nearly over. Unbelievable. Yeah. And we are starting the week off with a little bit of a retest.
Yep.
One of the first heartpertrophy sessions that we did, or the first heartpertrophy session that we did, we're repeating it.
Yep.
What expectations, or are you even setting any expectations for members that have done this before?
Great question. It always depends. The politician comes out of me. So if you've had someone who's not been away on their school holidays or going away at all on their holidays, and they've been consistently training, it's looking at taking that score from before and then looking to crush it. And hopefully the training they've been doing in that lead up to it will allow people to do it. Again, as a coach, you're going to have a whole multitude of people. You might have new members who didn't get to do that workout at all. You've got members that have kind of been a bit sporadic, so they've been off. The goal here is still a great workout. Sometimes tests are a way to just show you where your fitness are, but they don't necessarily give you more fitness. Whereas this is a good workout. It's a heartpertrophy session on its own. We just used it to kind of create a yardstick. So it's kind of it's a good workout to have regardless of whether people are trying to get better or not. So it really does depend.
Yeah, it does depend. So just leading on from that, just a little reminder, I guess, of what we'll be doing going forward. So with that, obviously we've had kind of heartpertrophy sessions like short rep ranges in the workouts, movements going upper body to lower body. Are you going to place a bit of a focus after doing this, bit of a benchmark, or what's your rough plan going forward after this week?
Yes, so the great thing about these kind of workouts, obviously, there was a specific intention to call it heartpertrophy, also known as CrossFit. If you're not doing, we put in our notes, if you're not doing 3 minutes on, 1 minute off. So we'll continue that theme. We will start to build out the volumes in these workouts, so the time frames in which we work out, which we have been doing previously, but then also the potential complexity of the movements. We kept it very, very low skill in the workouts. That allows you to keep moving. The goal will still be to keep moving, but can we challenge you with more higher skill movements? I think we touched on one a couple of weeks ago where we put some muscle ups in one of our heartpertrophy sessions, and we've got some good feedback from it. So it's one of those ones that will continue on the good work of this. And I think there's no substitute for doing CrossFit. Like, to get better at these kind of things, these 3 minute efforts, having yourself exposed to 3 minutes on, 1 minute off is a good way to get better at it, certainly.
Awesome. We were having a bit of a conversation about programming beforehand, weren't we? And we were saying that the art of programming is now moving towards obviously having some sort of structure, but also being able to hide that structure a little bit from your members, just so it looks more fun and more inviting to do. And obviously from that tends to build a little bit more community, because people get talking about it a little bit more and they feel like they've gone through things together, which is a big part of building a gym, obviously. So yeah, it was a nice little conversation we had before starting.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a very tough balance between vary in the days of where the movements are for the fun and the variance element, but not to sacrifice the actual stimulus and the intention. For instance, if you say, forget that on a Saturday you've made them back squat heavy because you moved it over, and then you've shuffled all the days, and then all of a sudden there's back squatting on a Monday again, all of a sudden we lose the ability to have a program that is safe, and then we start making mistakes from there. So it's a very fine balance. Also, if people start to not like things, they'll know when it's coming and they'll tend to avoid them, and then we're doing a disservice to our members because they're not actually able to go and improve their fitness. So we've got to potentially fake it until we make it, and then get the members not noticing our little sneaky tricks.
I think another good thing that we've been told about, and if you were probably already aware of it, but when we did the Northern Coaches Training Day, RS3, I think it was RS3, or it might have been Argo, mentioned that they did a week where it was like a blind programming week where they didn't show the programming to the members at all, just to kind of mix it up a little bit, keep them on the toes, see what the attendance to classes, how it would differ, etc. So that was quite, I would recommend other gyms trying that out and just seeing, how your members react. How attendance is.
This is all
interesting.
So some things that we've done this before. It's all like on a couple of different factors. It's all on delivery. It's how it's communicated to the members. What you don't want to do is surprise them. You want to give them a bit of a lead in. It doesn't have to be too long. It'll probably be a week in advance. You tell them, go, look, guys, we're not going to announce the program in advance, and then create some boundaries and parameters, because what you'll have is, if you don't set any of those, the 6 a.m. class will come and take a picture of the whiteboard, and then it'll be spread across all of their WhatsApp groups that they have. So there'll be no sharing of those kind of workouts. You've got other things where you need to make it really clear that coaches do the good job of providing scales and options anyway. So the normal feedback will be like, I need to know what the programming is because I've got an injury, or I need to know what the program is because I have a specific goal. And ultimately, if you have a specific goal, CrossFit will help you get towards any of those. So that's fine. If you have an injury, it's a conversation to have with them and say, look, we can provide scales. The people that will not turn up to the things they don't like will turn up to the things they do like with an injury and can't do it anyway. So you're always going to be in that situation. So as long as we tee it up and you have a positive aspect on it, you're in for it. And when we've done it previously, you get a couple of kickbacks, but that's the people that are wanting to control it, and possibly the people that think they know better than everybody else. But everyone knows as much as everybody else, right?
Of course. What's the quote? The more you know, the less you know.
The more you think you know, the less you know, right? There's a great graph, isn't there? When you first start, you think you know nothing, and then when you've learned a little bit, you think you know everything, and then you actually realise you know nothing. I'm hopefully in that stage now. I don't claim to know everything, and I don't claim to know anything. So.
Awesome. Let's get stuck into the Tuesday. We've got a good, long, clean complex to be getting stuck into. Going into this session and this particular complex, what particular points, or what are you looking for members to get out of doing this particular complex?
I think it's firstly great time under tension. You're going to spend a lot of time on the bar, holding on to it, and then learning how to get that bar to travel in a straight line. We always want to move our bodies around the line of the bar versus seeing that bar deviate forwards and backwards and then lose power horizontally or height horizontally. So it's a good way to practice this. It's also good in respect to you've got a lot of opportunity to coach someone through a rep. Say you're doing 1 rep on the minute every minute and you've got the class going, it's hard to see everybody if you have a big class, whereas this, you have an opportunity to watch everyone going up and down for five repetitions in total. It's a good way of getting people going.
Awesome. I think key points to emphasise when doing the complex is that usually, unless we state otherwise, it's reset after each rep. So I think making sure on this complex in particular that they're going through this little checklist in the head that, right, they're getting the setup right first. Because if the setup's wrong, if the bar's, for example, too far away from the shin, straight away they're at a disadvantage. That bar is automatically kind of heavier. So again, just like the basics, like make sure the bar is, touching the shin or just slightly off. Make sure they can feel it dragging up the shins a little bit. Eye contact on the thigh. Just be dialing them basics in when you're going through the warm up, and those lighter weights, so that when you get heavier, they obviously don't need to think about it as much. They've spent time feeling it and thinking about it, and then they can just get on with it. On to a classic benchmark, and we saw a variation of this at the games this year as well. Elizabeth.
Yeah, Elizabeth. We've kind of already come from being primed on the squat clean, so I think the majority of people, conversation to have is you want to be hitting a weight earlier in your weightlifting complex that is higher than what you're going to be using in the workout. Okay, so that's a good conversation to set expectations. If we've all done Elizabeth, a lot of people may have tried it with the power clean variation, which is what I would say is 100 times easier. 100 times easier. As soon as we're having to drop ourselves into the bottom of the squat, midline becomes a bit more fatigued, shoulders, grip, everything, you name it, is starting to work a little bit harder. So make sure everybody is doing the squat clean unless they need to scale. Ring dips are probably one of those ones that doing them fast is a skill that requires you to be really patient with your legs. So a lot of people struggle with the kipping ring dip where they're at the bottom of their dip position and they're kicking down towards the ground, and that's putting momentum down into it. One thing I really think about when I'm coaching the ring dip, when we get onto the kipping variation, is a static hold with your feet off the floor and your legs are straight in the bottom of the dip, and then you're looking to flick your heel to your bum. Once you flick your heel to your bum, that should create a little bit of a pop and a weightlessness, and that's when you start to press out. So a little drill there that you can kind of go through with the group is get them into the bottom of the dip, nice straight legs, and then flick your heels to your bum, and that can create weightlessness, and that's the kip that you need to then press out.
I think the ring dip is definitely one movement that a lot of coaches do tend to struggle to coach. And it is knowing, because like you say, people either do the kick the wrong way, or they kind of end up doing it almost like a double kip, where the first bit helps them up and then they try and kip again, and it kind of stops them from reaching that lockout. So that might be quite a good little video just to kind of to go into a little bit more detail there. So yeah,
definitely.
I know for the ring dips in particular. So we've been doing a lot of time and attention sessions on JST Athlete, doing kipping ring dips, and when you haven't done that much foundational work, so kind of like holds at the top and at the bottom, it's surprising how hard they are ring dips, even for a higher level athlete as well. So do be aware of that when you're going into the workout, because especially that lockout at the top can be quite shady for a lot of people, and obviously we want to be, getting across the best standards possible.
Yep.
Cool. Is there anything you want to add to anything I said there?
No, I think on that you've hit all of the points that I would have gone for.
Cool. On to Wednesday. Time and attention.
Yep.
Toes to bar again this week. Focusing on the core and the abs. I know for myself they've done wonders to help get a good amount of core tension back after not doing much gymnastics. So it'll be interesting. Now we're getting to probably the back end of this with the time and attention work to see where everyone else is at as well. Have you found anything in particular when you've gone through these sessions, Jamie, as you had quite a few sessions under your belt, or is there any points you think might be worth touching on coming to the back end of doing these sessions?
Yeah, I think firstly, from my own experience, V-ups never get any easier. V-ups are seriously difficult. But then from a more practical application, I'm so much more confident knowing how I feel when I'm on the pull-up bar. So what I mean by that is when I jump up, my exposure to feeling good and confident with the toaster bars significantly better, as opposed to before I'd be like really good and then really not good. So the ability to recover from these sessions has been quite good. Also, kind of from a coaching perspective, people have really started to improve their ability to tolerate more volume. Like what we noticed with kind of the grey member, the person that kind of comes in 3 to 4 times a week, kind of got the odd toaster bar, but they'd look more for the half toaster bar for this kind of volume. They would go in more for below 10 initially, and now we're kind of into weeks 5 and 6. We're seeing people kind of go 12 to 15 reps on every single set, and they're able to recover. And they're feeling it, and they're telling me that, which is a great thing to really know.
Probably some great sessions to highlight would be just like a typical EMOM, because everyone's done an EMOM of X amount of reps. Going back to doing an EMOM to numbers or going back to like a 10-minute EMOM of the gymnastics, and just knowing how that feels would probably be quite a good gauge of, how it feels, where you're at, how much they've progressed. Because I know for some people, these sessions can be quite difficult to put into perspective, or sometimes people can feel like they're not really getting anywhere, or they've only got so far. But then when you come to doing a slightly different gymnastic session, you do actually realise, I've actually got much better at doing the work.
Yeah.
So, be patient. When we come around to just changing up the format, you'll probably realise how much better you've got since doing these sessions.
Definitely.
Into fitness, Jackie.
Yeah.
Again, games-esque. We saw Jackie with bar muscle-ups, but today Jackie with burpees.
Yeah, I can't work out whether this is going to be better or worse than the regular Jackie. I think from my perspective, I would still say I'm an inexperienced or average member from a pull-up perspective. I wouldn't be able to have done the 30 pull-ups unbroken, so I would have to have paced myself through them. Whereas 30 burpees you come off the thrusters here we go. You're not failing a burpee, and you're really trying to race it home towards the end. So I just thought it was a good finish. It also kind of fits in within our training we did lots of ring dips the day before. We're doing toaster bar earlier in the session, so there was no need for pull-ups there. I would say this is, you hit the row hard, you try to go unbroken on the thrusters, and then you see what you have left and see how you get on. 12-minute time cap is what I would say is very generous. But sometimes this is also a workout that the majority can RX. So sometimes we write workouts within the programming that only the best will be able to complete, and then we scale it for the majority of people. Whereas this is a workout that you can look at and go, right, everyone can do a 1,000-meter row. It's going to be slow. Okay, everyone can do the thrusters, and then everyone can do a burpee. So a lot of people potentially will come away with a big tick mark of, I did that workout RX, which is, again, sometimes just as important as doing other things.
100%. Yeah, just a nice little confidence boost.
Totally.
Great stuff. On to Thursday, we've got some good little blends of machine work with other relatively low skill movements that you can control the pace on pretty easily. So it means that you can push hard, take it easy. You could even swap the movements out for another skill that you wanted to practice, like double unders, for example, as well. So a perfect Thursday session, I'd say.
Yeah, nothing too fancy in there. Like you said, Jack, intertwine movements that are are things that might be weaknesses. So we're thinking of like wall walks, crossover double unders if we want to have a go at those. Dumbbell hand clean and jerks. The wall ball is another option there. Just remember the whole context of your training. So if you've trained hard the first 3 days, this is it says max, but it's just burpees over the bar in the remaining time. It's just single arm. We're not having to chase it and then look to be consistent. Or even if you want to, across the 4 rounds, can you go negative split? Can you achieve more reps on each interval every time you come past it? And that'll really set the tone for how moderate you go at the start.
Can you do crossover double unders?
I've been known to do one. I've done one RX crossover double under. But little story, I was working at TO last Friday and they had crossover single unders. And I was like, I've got these. And at 5:30 in the morning, I got my rope. No, I could not do them. Couldn't do them.
No.
Got through this
time of day, mate.
No, 6 a.m. class, demoed, couldn't do it. Someone in the class demoed, could do it. 7 a.m. class, same thing. And then I had a class at 9:15, and then one of the guys at 6 a.m. like called me out on their private group, and then I spent the next 90 minutes, and then guess what? I could do them. So all you need is sometimes a bit of do as you're told, and then so we got there in the end.
Love that.
We got there in the end. But good skill. Like I learned some points on if you guys want to teach the crossover. One of the things I noticed is your hands have to go past your hips to help the rope go round, but they can't just go past. They have to go back. That was the one thing I learned. When my arms just went straight across, the rope would then catch. Whereas once your hands come across, you tucked your hands back, and then when you come over, it was that way. So you notice the rope had to come backwards to come around, which was, my brain couldn't work it out to start with, but then once I got it, they were actually really easy. I say really easy.
Okay, top tips.
Yeah. I'll do another video.
Like
Kipping ring dip and crossover double under is one of my 2 skills that I'll get on video for everyone.
Get that down. Awesome. Because I've not yet done a crossover double under yet, so I'm way behind you. You're leveling. You're one up in me there, mate.
I've done one. I'd probably still be on the legless pegboard, but if I got there, I'd be able to get one on the board.
On to Friday. Similar complex to what we had earlier in the week with cleans. So a lot of time and attention again. Again, a good opportunity to focus on the bar path. Is there anything additional that you want to add for the snatch that might be different from the clean potentially?
Not different, but one thing we didn't mention on the clean, but I think it's more relevant on the snatch, is the changing of heights of your landing position. This is probably my most favourite way of getting people to understand how to keep their snatch the same versus their power snatch, their deep power snatch and their squat snatch, because it's happening one after the other. So you hit your power snatch, you hold your landing position, feet and hips should be in the correct place. Then when you reset and you go deep power snatch, feet should be in the same place, hip angle should be the same. We're just landing a little bit lower. And then same thing for that squat snatch. And because they're happening so quickly, one after the other, the athlete or the member should be able to feel that quite well or get instant feedback. They'll probably be, most common case, a bit wide on their feet on the power snatch, feel most comfortable there. Then when they land in the deep power snatch, their feet will come in a bit, but they'll lean forward quite a bit more. And then that squat snatch, you'll find people will kind of land really high, pause, and then start to squat it down. So those are the things that you're kind of keeping an eye on to kind of identify and say, look, this is what we're trying to replicate. We want to try and get into that same footwork position every single time, and it's just the height of your landing position each time.
Awesome. Good. Some good tips there. I feel like you were in a bad mood when you wrote this week.
Yeah,
this week's workouts.
I was just thinking that. Well, I was thinking like if the theme was going to be girl workouts, so we've got Jackie, we've got Elizabeth. Can't have a girls' week.
Why not chuck Fran in there?
Can't have a girls' week without Fran. Like nowadays, obviously, you see the games. They're doing harder variations, 27, 21. They're doing everything's more difficult, but ultimately, a good dose of Fran. Like a lot of newer members now get to miss it. Like from a programming perspective, sometimes people program past this stuff, or they I've seen it happen recently. It's like they put it into like a monster mash where there's like 3 other workouts with it, and they've already ran a mile before they do it.
Like Fantasyland or something like that.
Totally. It's like, if you want to give Fran a good go, get it below, like, what time are we saying? Below 2:30. If you do Fran below 2:30, then you can start to like move on from Fran and make it a bit harder. Like, I don't need to make Fran any harder. Like I'm about 3 minutes on a good day, and it's like I'm rolling around for 20 minutes after. Like, there's no need for me to do anything other than just Fran.
Yeah, agreed.
Mate, it's making me anxious thinking my heart rate's like 100 now. I'm just thinking about doing it. I'm like, oh, leave me alone.
I tell you what, we better see that in Tio's programming next Friday. I'm watching this space.
It'll get us.
You can return the favour and ask David.
Yeah, I'll try and get it in there.
Put it in. Wicked. We've got a very awesome, cool looking Saturday workout, to be fair. Wit gone bad. A mixture of machines, barbell work, barbell cycling work even, and some other bits and bobs in there as well. What, from your past experience of coaching this workout, what are your top tips for running this sort of class first?
Great question. You read my mind on this. It's about prioritising what needs prioritising, ultimately. It's looking through the list. If we think of this from a coach's perspective, you have that coach that will look at this and go, there's too much to coach, I won't coach anything. Or you have that other coach that's looking at this like, right, I need to teach the bike setup. I need to then make sure I go through DT bit by bit. I need to coach the row and wall ball dumbbell set. And you're like, you're just not going to get through it. It's having that blend of the two. I think the thing that stands out to everybody here is the DT. It's making sure people are moving well. They've got the correct loading so they can get the correct stimulus from this. Because we all know DT light is fun and easy. We all know when DT is too heavy in a 4-minute window, that could take 3.5 minutes if someone really chooses the wrong weight and they put themselves in a hole. So that's how I would be looking at organising it. Once everyone's warm, I've got everyone like in their groups, maybe 2 or 3, depending on in pairs. So starting half and half, and then we're rolling through the barbell drills. I'd add in the snatches and stuff kind of as we're going through, but ultimately it's all about the DT.
Just to touch on from DT and barbell cycling work, our weightlifting sessions going forward are barbell cycling based as well.
That's correct.
That is
correct. So we've got for that week a testing week, or just a way of kind of going through some barbell cycling, snatches, cleans, and push jerks, touch and go push jerks, to kind of set a benchmark, and then the programming around that will be kind of our next block of training. So we've just finished a 12-week power-based block where there's some jump-in, some power-based snatches and jerks and power cleans. Whereas now we're just switching tack. Barbell cycling is a good one to have, kind of moving around, and it kind of helps within workouts as well. So a good opportunity for people to nick some things from there and put wherever they want them, put them.
I think as well, a lot of gyms tend to put on weightlifting classes, and it is just weightlifting. I don't feel like, or that I'm aware of, that many gyms put on a weightlifting class that's more barbell cycling based. So actually quite nice to have a bit of a change as well, especially with the weightlifting at the moment. There's not too much barbell cycling in, so it kind of keeps people happy, or just keeps the whistle wet, so to speak.
Definitely.
Awesome. Right, let's wrap the week up with Sunday, and we've got some backies. Yeah. Just steady away, it looks like.
Nice, easy one, little bit of a low week. So we think back to the previous weeks, we've kind of had a a volume accumulation, then some intensification. Then last week we had a 5RM. So we're just dropping down to a 10-minute EMOM of 3s, 50 to 60%. It's only a 10-minute window. So if anyone did miss out on their 5RM the previous week and it's an opportunity to play catch up, they can do. Just remember the ramifications of the whole training week if they did do DT the day before. But ultimately, it's just a way of keeping that squatting in. We've got squatting on the Friday with the Fran, which will probably be the similar volume of work, even though the loading's lighter, but we're still going below parallel. So there's still plenty of squatting in the week. And then a nice fun workout, I'd say.
Yeah. Just touching on the back squats and that sort of session. For myself, I usually, for those sorts of sessions, I'll make sure I squat my trainers, no knee sleeves or anything like that. Yeah. And each set, I will vary where I put my feet. So one set I'll go wide, one set I'll go narrow, one set I'll go normal, toes in, toes out, all that. Just to kind of mix it up, gain a little bit of tension maybe in areas where I feel like I don't have too much tension, or just see what it feels like. Again, just good for building a little bit more body awareness. And you might actually find a better squatting position for you in the process of doing that as well. So, yeah, just a nice little session for doing that. Definitely. And like you say, a good 20-minute AMRAP to round off the week.
Yeah, kind of got some running, got some swings, some box jumps, and then the skill of the wall walk. Got to keep them ticking over, just as possibly a little bit of a break from the legs on this day as well. So good opportunity to kind of get the heart rate up, keep it nice and steady, and then get everything ticking over for the next week.
Awesome, mate. Awesome. I guess last thing we want to touch on. So I can see that we've reset the engine sessions as well as the weightlifting sessions. Do you want to give a bit of a guide on if there's a plan for that, if there's not a plan for that, or what your kind of thoughts are on that going forward? So
we got some feedback on the engine sessions, and we got the feedback, like a lot of people just loved the nitty gritty hard workouts, and people were taking a couple of the gyms were taking them and just putting them in potentially the mainstream programming for their gen population. So going to continue on that theme. I wouldn't say, I'm not going to say every single workout should leave you floored. I think that's the overarching conversation from coaches. But what I'm going to do is, with those 3 sessions per week, there's an easy opportunity to get a tough workout. So it's quite easy to get yourself in the conversation. And that's where you can kind of mix and match them from general seeing how people use our engine program and how I've used engine programs to supplement CrossFit in the past. They're quite sporadic, so it's quite hard to build a progression. If any of you guys want more of a progressive thing, say a rowing and burpee program, let us know, because then we can write a progressive plan and put it in. We did a little one at the start of that engine plan where it was building the running up. So again, if people want those things, feel free to ask for them, and we'll look to help deliver those.
Awesome. One last thing I want to touch on as well is that obviously last week we spoke about strength in depth. Yeah. And then this week, we thought it wasn't on, and then this week they went and dropped the date for it. It's in January, isn't it?
Last weekend in January, isn't it? 28th, 29th.
Which is pretty cool, actually. It'll be interesting to see at that part of the season whether more competitive athletes maybe get involved, because maybe they are a little bit fitter running into the Open, quarterfinals, etc., and maybe might be just a bit more keen to do it.
Yeah. I think I think it'll be a good stage. I think for those real elite level competitors, they'll be training through the Open anyway, so their training won't have tapered for anything like that, and it'll possibly be their first foray into like multiple event weekend for the year. If I'm thinking like more of the highbrow level, it's a good opportunity to practice execution, because their next execution is going to be quarterfinals, and if their execution is poor and their ability to do that isn't, they're going to lose the opportunity. I mean, they'll get through to their semis, but then it's like, if you've already messed it up once, you're going to mess it up again, kind of thing. Like, get the mistakes out of the way when you're in a team.
I think as well, now is the time to state whether your gym is going to be doing it, to give members an opportunity to either like book the Friday off work or whatever they need to do. And for your members who maybe want to push to try and get on the team, to work on any weaknesses or anything like that. Yeah. So I would say now is the opportunity to state that, maybe take a list of names, so that people can register their interest to try and be on your team. And who knows, you might end up putting 2 teams forward.
That's what Holly's done at TO. So we put some names down. Scary thing is, I'll be 35 in January, so I'll technically be the male master, and Holly will be the female master potentially. And then we've got a little list of where this is a public shout out. We might have to tag Ben in this video, that he needs to start training again, because I saw him with his top off. His wife's definitely in the team. Debs is definitely in. It's whether Ben needs to do some calf raises and lat raises. Get himself in.
Well, that's all he needs to do, and then he's good to get snatch his 120. He's good to go again.
Yeah, he's like special teams, isn't he? Just bring him in for like snatch specialist. You two should go head to head.
Mate, I'll wipe the floor with him. I'll be carrying him on that stretcher.
It's going to happen, isn't it? Again, yeah.
Love it. All right, mate. Thanks for your time.
Good to speak to you, Jack.
Yeah, good to catch up. We'll see you next week.